Howdy, guys and girls. Welcome back to another episode of the Bros with Brains podcast here with the OG Ben, because fuck Chris. No, he's a little bit too busy for us this week. He's got a comp.
Don't be modest about it. He's too good for us now.
No, he's got a natty comp, I think, coming up. So he's looking after his natural clients. How boring. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, he's got a few. I think he's got 3 or 4 that he's looking after this weekend. So peak week, and I didn't know naturals needed to do a peak week, but that's fine. I'm only kidding. If you're natural and if you're natural and you're listening, I'm not making fun of you much. But yeah,
if you're natural in your bio, on the other hand,
yeah, if you have natty competitor, his, her, them, they, then we'll make fun. But short of that, no, you do you, boo boo. Anyway, how are you going, Benny boy?
Oh man, just survived Queensland's heaviest downfall in a decade or some shit. So that's been fun.
you guys got fucked up.
Yeah, Queensland got absolutely pumped. They moved its way down the coast. I think it's hitting Sydney now or something. But
yeah, Lismore and shit.
Yeah, apparently it was like something like 750 mils in 5 days, which is equivalent of 2/3 of our yearly rainfall. Apparently, according to whoever's numbers that came from.
According to the Bureau of Meteorology. Cool. Got it. Those guys, the guys, the pinnacle of their field.
I'll take their word for
it. Yeah.
But yeah, so that was interesting. Luckily, we had a few freak out periods there. Like it was like we're relatively on a higher point of Brisbane on the upwards of the hill and like a downward slope. So most of our street would run off into the street below. So we were getting a few notifications of the Lord Mayor's office emergency text, like, get out if you're in these areas. I was like, fuck. One of the messages came through like 1:30 in the morning saying that high tide's expected to rise, so get out while you can. We went and checked. I got up at like 2 in the morning, got changed, went for a walk in the rain, had a look, and the water was like the bottom of the street away. Like it would have to raise another like 10 meters for it to actually like start flooding our place. And I was like, oh, fuck's sake. So all that. Yeah, pretty much. It's fine. And I was like, all right, like the car's in the basement, it's downhill, the water shouldn't get stuck there. Sweet, cool. Mind you, there was a few much worse hit places. Like businesses on the street below us, like they got hit, but there were some suburbs that were pretty fucked up.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing it all over the news and Instagram, because Instagram's the news these days. So,
facts.
It's like it wasn't even on. I mean, it probably was on Facebook, but I saw most of it on Instagram. I guess I got quite a few followers there that are in Queensland, so I was like, oh shit, like you guys copped it. Fuck.
Yeah, the new world. Luckily, they were pretty like. Yeah, sometimes you feel sorry for people who didn't bring it upon themselves, but when you do dumb shit, it's hard to feel sorry for you.
Yeah,
middle of like once in a decade level torrential downpour. Newly erected gym site, cleared out driveway and pathways, downward facing slope, people parked at the bottom of the hill in the driveway of the gym, and then went and trained as a facility has been built around it and obviously bottlenecked the water. And so the shit ton of torrential rain ends up flooding the car park. People go out to their cars floating like, how did this happen? And I was like,
I mean, did they park there knowing that it was torrential rain?
Oh, it was bucketing down. Like the gym was open.
Yeah, but you can't do anything if you didn't know. It's once in a lifetime fucking rain.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, don't get me wrong. Yeah, if you didn't know, but I mean, like most of the people who were in their training, they got there when it was already pissing down rain.
Oh, that's what I mean. Did they park there already when the rain was already bucked out that year?
Oh yeah, yeah. It was like day 2 in the rain, and it's like
it's not like you walk in the gym and it's nice and sunny, and you come out and your car's floating away, and you're like, fuck, what happened?
That'd be like, okay,
yeah, I'll wear that.
And these guys and they were like hatchbacks and stuff too, like at the bottom of the hill and like in where it would bank up. And like there's a hill slope driveway and a hill slope car park. I was like, park up the top.
Yeah. Maybe. Yeah.
Just maybe, like just risk sake.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, maybe they had some really good insurance and they did it on purpose just so they can. It's the new way to do an insurance job. You don't light it on fire and get a
scratch mark. They flooded it, right? Yeah.
Yeah, you don't get it stolen or whatever it is. It's floods. You just take advantage. Just like fuck it. Don't worry about leaving the door unlocked. You just leave the car in a flood zone. Sweet.
Fair. Yeah. So that was it was an interesting weekend. Didn't get as much done as I'd like to, but give or take the fact that half the state was underwater, probably going to happen.
So basically, you've signed up for a new gym, you copped COVID, and now you copped the flood. You haven't been able to train. Like
no
this,
one wants me to train there, right?
If there is a sign to come out of this, it is you should not be training at this gym or ever. Like it's just you're now stuck at home doing home workouts again. You're gonna like YouTube some fucking high intensity interval training classes in your bedroom. Like go, like that's it. You got no option.
Joining some local Zoom classes and gonna do some like fucking body fit sessions.
Yeah, some fucking F45 sessions at home, man. Because that's all you can do. Sign up on the app.
Like kill me.
You've copped it.
Yeah. Well, like it wasn't like the gym. I think the gym actually shut for all of like at night. I think like after I'd already trained anyway. So because the water did start to bake up there, I think they got sandbags and shit, but it luckily didn't get in too far. They just had to dry out some of the carpet. But yeah, they didn't shut for too long, luckily. So no real issues getting there. However, getting back home was shit. Like the distance between where the gym is and where we live, and there's like a lot of bridges and several like crossings or like rivers, obviously being Brisbane, and a lot of the place was shut down. Like I was taking every other which way I could think of to get home, and it was like the points where the police either closed the road or it was still flooding, so you couldn't get past. I was like, true.
Yeah, well, fuck, man. Like, yeah, like I said, I can't think of any more of a sign that you need. Like, you know, it's like never believe in that sort of stuff, but really it's like it's laid out so crystal clear in front of you. It's just kind of like, it's just like time to not train at this gym. But anyway, it could be worse. I mean, I don't know how, but it could be worse, I'm sure. Like, I don't know. I don't want to know. It's like touch wood, you know, like it doesn't get worse, but I'm sure there is a way for it to get worse. Like, that's
you have a stroke at this gym, it's going to be on you. I'm going to blame you.
I mean, I wasn't going with personal harm. I was just thinking more so like what more bodily effects can happen. Like now there's going to be like, we've already had the bushfires in like New South Wales. So it's not going to, but chances are it's not going to be that. You've now got floods, like lightning. You got to have a lightning storm. Something's going to happen. Lightning is going to like blow up all the power in your city and that's it. It's game over. Heard it here first on Bros with Brains. I'm calling it now. God effect, lightning storm.
Ben's fucked. He's not training.
It's just literally as soon as Ben gets in the car to go to the gym, lightning. But anyway.
Look, I wouldn't even mad at that point. I'd actually be pretty impressed. I'd be like, okay.
Yeah, like you sort of be like, this is divine intervention. Maybe I'm just not meant to be there.
Yeah, I'll take it. The universe is a sign of me to just get fat. Okay.
F45 at home, bro. F45 at home.
Yeah. So yeah, no, that's been that was that. Yeah, other than that, it just gave me a weekend really to get shit done and smash out some work, do some content, and yeah, it's been good.
Yeah, fair. I just got back from a golf private. That was fun.
A what?
Golf private lesson.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I just thought I'm going to try golf. I have the driving range literally around the corner, and I'm like, you know what? I want to go hit some golf balls. So I'm going to be that guy. That was fun.
Big Scaffy on a Wednesday morning, slogging some balls.
Yeah, midday lunch on a Wednesday. Just thought, fuck it, I'm gonna go hit some golf balls. Just went to the guy. I'm like, dude, free for a lesson? Yep, done. Let's go.
Sweet.
Here you go. Teach me to golf.
just teach you enough to be better than Benny, and take his thing away from him. Like he's the only golf guy I know, so just go there and be better than him.
Like him and Jace, they play a lot. So it's just like, yeah.
Like they talk about how bad their game is. I'm like, you can't be that bad. You're golfing that much. Like I see you guys golf like every weekend.
You'd be surprised. Like it was funny. Went there, sat down, waiting for the lesson or whatever, and then these like older gentlemen, like I'm talking 60s and 70s, come off the course, and you just hear them, and they're like, "Yeah, I had a really shocking day. I played like 6 over. 6 over means 6 over par. Par is like the standard golf like score for that course. So it's like if you played a par, you're a fantastic player. Like your handicap is 0. Like you're playing, your handicap is par. These guys played 6 over. So it's like 6 more shots over 18 holes. So think about that. Over 18 holes, they basically made every shot and then played 6 extra for the whole course. That's fucked. That's fucked. I'm like sitting there. I'm like, that's just goals, man. I'm like, what the fuck? This guy's like 67 years old, complaining that they played 6 over. I'm like, what? You played 6 over and you're complaining at the age of like 110. Like, what's wrong with you, bro?
I'm impressed you had that hip rotation,
man. Anyway, I thought that was fun. But
by the time I'm 60, I'll be lifting and working in single planes of movement, and that's it.
literally, I'm gonna have like no fucking thoracic rotation whatsoever. Like going there, the dude's like, so how's your thoracic? He goes, you look bigger, like you look like you lift weights. I'm like, yeah, it's what I do for a living. He's like, oh, he goes, what's your thoracic rotation like? I'm like, what's that?
What is spinning?
Yes. What do you mean thoracic rotation? I have none of it. Like
the trunk works in flexion and extension, and that's it.
Yeah, so this should be interesting. He's like, can you at least hip hinge? I'm like, I can do that well. I got that thing. He's like, yeah, it's just that with a bit of trunk rotation. I'm like, you say this and it's not as simple. Like, just because you weigh 55 kilos less than me in one leg.
You've combined those movements. See, when I train, I split them up.
Yeah, exactly. You train them together. I train them in isolation. We are not the same.
How can I do the hip hinge as a single movement and then rotate as a separate movement?
Yeah, it's like Happy Gilmore. It's all in the hips. Literally.
Tabaroo.
Yeah, fucking. That's what I'm going to get as my golf club. I'm just going to get a fucking hockey stick.
He hits the chick in the head and she falls off the roof. Oh.
Yeah. I was watching it the other night for inspiration. I'm like, all right, here we go. We got this.
I love there was a period in the 2000s where like every driving range had the sign, do not Happy Gilmore.
Yeah.
That was the best. It was like three culture I used to go to and they'd just be like, honestly, do not Happy Gilmore.
Dude, trying to just hit like with any sort of resemblance of a golf stroke, to do that then with a step up, that's impressive. Yeah. Like, I think people really underrate how good Adam Sandler is as an athlete. When you think about it,
he didn't actually do that too well.
Well, actually, no, he's actually a really good athlete. Like, he's a really, really good athlete. He plays basketball, plays at golf, and I think his handicap is like 4. Like, it's ridiculous. Does play NFL, like football. Those had like longest yard. Most of those throws are his. So it's like any sporting movie, that's him. Like, he loves to play sport. He plays basketball with he's Adam Sandler. He can play around with like NBA players when he feels like it on a weekend and like shoots shit with them. Like, man, this is like, what the fuck? Like, this is a sick athlete. I'm like, this is mad. That's goals.
Fair cop.
Yeah. Like, he was actually full on swinging and like launching in Happy Gilmore. That's him playing.
I hope the scenes of Happy Gilmore where he's ice skating, that's actually like he's actually actually fucking some guys up.
Yeah, like don't get me wrong, like he'd probably be a sick hockey player as well. I would not be surprised, to be honest. Like, I wouldn't be surprised.
Have you seen that meme of him where it's like, this man's worth $420 million? It's him rocking like a big big dad belly, like oversized basketball shorts and like this big beefy coat, and he's just like eating like pickles or something. Yeah,
and then he'll shoot
$500 million.
Yeah, and he'll go out and shoot 3 after 3 after 3, no problem. It's like he's one of just those people that are really good with hand-eye coordination, just really gifted with, like, he's just one of them. Like, arsehole. I mean, I feel like I used to be one of those once upon a time, but not anymore.
He probably got to that point where like his height, strength, and color kind of stopped him from going to the next level of sports.
Pretty much. All right, it's probably.
I'm getting into acting.
Yeah, I'm just going to be a comedian. Like, fuck it. Like, done. But anyway, what are we talking about today, good sir? What has pissed you off this week? Tell me.
Well, pissed off is a relative term. Now,
so what's pissed you off?
It frustrates me. Is seeing people Instagram there. And don't get me wrong. If you're going to share your stories of great training, cool shit. Go hard. I do it all the time. We all do it. Put up some stories. Tell everyone you're killing it. Share some like training footage. Good shit. But if you're going to brag in said story or post about a PB that's achieved, now mind you, a planned PB for us is just progressive overload. We're just planning. I'm going to steal an extra.
Every week's a PB.
Every week's a PB. And you know what exercises you're improving on. You might get to the back of your session where you're just repeating some numbers, but at the start of the session, you got your numbers you want to like improve each week. Good stuff. That is planned progressive overload. We're stealing a rep. We're stealing an extra 5 kilos. Now, if you're building up and looking at doing single rep maxes or even 2 rep maxes, and you're sharing a story whereby the rep looks nothing like the rep the week before, nor the depth or the cadence of the rep the week before, that's not a PB. You've just shortchanged yourself and just moved some weight semi the distance you're supposed to in a very unconventional or safe manner, and then claim that because the weight has increased, therefore PB.
Yeah, so this is when we come back to standardizing your rep and like standardizing the form of your rep, and then that's your measure for future progression, whether that be, your PB or whatever you want to call it. I mean, I get that. That's just annoying. It's like watching somebody do a strict bicep curl and then a cheat bicep curl. They are not the same. They're effectively 2 new lifts. So it's That's how I deem it, to be honest. If the PB, we'll call it, form is so far from the norm or your standard rep, then I would, like, if a client does that, I'd simply say, well, technically that's a different lift. Like that's your PB for that lift, not the previous lift you did the week before.
The week before.
Yeah,
these are two different things.
Yeah, exactly right. And that's when we talk about standardizing the reps and, having a controlled eccentric depending on the goal. I mean, I feel like doesn't matter what the goal. If you're doing resistance-based training, it should always be a controlled eccentric. It doesn't necessarily need to be slow, but it needs to be controlled with then, a more explosive concentric, I guess, move the concentric as fast as possible and as safe as possible, right? And then, go on.
And the thing is too, like if you're generally just looking to achieve hypertrophy and generally just build muscle, working at 1 rep maxes makes no logical sense. I know we've gone over this before, but the fact that it's even been shared, like if your goal is to get stronger, cool. But even still, if you're not about to get to a meet, if it's a 1 rep max. Oh, sorry, I just assumed it was a rep max, not a 1. No. Max. It was literally like it was either a 1 or 2 rep max tops. Yeah. Now, and even in doing that, that means that the rep that you think you're achieving at that weight is not the same, and you're risking greater degree of injury. And clearly you can't handle the loads. A technical limit of progression. It's not a big
deal. When we've seen by the research as well that, reps sub 6 for most people. Again, we do have those outside the bell curve that can, do 3 reps, 4 reps and achieve a significant hypertrophic response. Hypertrophy response, whatever you want to call it, adaptation, whatever. But big muscles. But for the majority, again, we always cater to the majority when we talk about this sort of stuff. 6 reps is sort of the minimum you want to work with. And then again, we have the research suggesting, up to like 30 reps, but we know that the actual response that at that higher rep range really is confusing in that is it skeletal tissue or is it cell swelling? It seems to be more cell swelling than muscle tissue. So we don't really want that. So usually it's somewhere in between that almost 8 to like 12 to 15 range. And that's where I think that originally that 8 to 12 was the perfect hypertrophy range, right? And then, smack bang in the middle, 3 sets of 10, which was, and it's funny because I always see a lot of people complain, generic coaches program 3 sets of 10, but it's like, hey, if you do 3 sets of 10 and that 10th rep is literally 1 RIR every time, you're still going to grow. You're stupid if you think you're not.
It's always that degree of like, there's a degree of the truth in the wives' tale where it's like, there's something in there that you can take from. And it's always my approach with like elite athletes and elite, like understanding like clients or people that just say like, don't train like this person. You're never going to be Michael Jordan. So don't care what he does. That's cool. But there's degrees of truth in the things that he's done. It's got him to be the world's best ever. Like there's degrees to it where you've got to pull that apart and go, okay, so what did he do? Why may that have worked? How can I implement that? What can I apply from that? And how's that going to benefit me? So you're not throwing the baby at the Barbie. You're not throwing the baby out with the bathwater. You're looking at it going, how does this affect me? How can I use it? And that's kind of like where those little wives' tales lay, where it's like, 20 years ago, 30 years ago when it came up and someone was like, yeah, this seems to be like the case. It's like, if we do this, that's stupid. And then you sort of get to it as like, well, if you're actually doing 3 sets of 10 with a consistent cadence and a degree of control, and each one of those sets is in a similar degree from failure with a degree of strength that is actually requiring heavy load, you're probably going to get some adaptation out of it. You're probably going to grow.
Yeah. All I know is I'm going to call this episode Ben Throws Out a Baby.
It's
a Barbie correction, baby. Like, wait, what? But yeah, I mean, we need to you need to standardize your reps regardless of the sport that you do. Sorry, sport. I'm not going to call bodybuilding a sport. Sorry. I'm not even going to call powerlifting a sport. Let's be real. But like, you have to standardize the reps in any resistance-based endeavor because that's your measuring stick. If you can't continually change or shift the goalposts, as it were, to suit, your ego, like that makes no sense. Like that's just stupid because then you are literally killing yourself in the gym for no reason and not progressing. Like, what's the point?
Yeah.
So even if you want to go on the opposite end of the spectrum and say, okay, we're not going to control the eccentric and, slow it down or whatever it is. If you want to go balls to wall as fast as fuck, go for it. As long as every rep is the same, you then can measure and then look to progress the following week. You know what I mean? So instead of, where if you go nice and controlled, you might hit 10 reps. If you go fast, you might hit 15. Okay, cool. If you go fast and hit 15 reps, it just means you got to do more reps the following week or more weight.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So as long as it's the standard is there and it's the same each time, then go nuts. But I would suggest controlling the eccentric.
Yeah, but seeing, especially under a squat too, and the squat ends up falling short from even decent knee flexion, let alone 90 degrees. And it's like you watch them literally hip shift it up and just grind out I kind of call them like the good morning squat.
Yeah, good morning squat. I used to squat like that. It was the best.
Yeah, hip will come up first, then they extend and fully get the extension out of it, which is fine. But at the same time, if that's stopping you from hitting depth and the load you've chosen is, what's the word? It's just basically ruining the rep. It's ruining your rep cadence, ruining the control and the prettiness of your rep. Yeah. You're not going to get any benefit out of it other than the risk of injury.
Yeah, the only time I would deem rep quality go out the window effectively is in a comp for powerlifting only, where your objective is to move as much weight as humanly possible. We're not worried about how pretty the rep looks. Yeah. We need to make the fucking weight move to the standard that's, in play from the rule book. So for your example, for the squat, hey, you could train with beautiful squat technique and, you get to comp day, your first one, your opener is, bang on, your technique is great. And then you push your second rep or your second attempt, and it's, close to PB territory, maybe even on PB territory, you've never felt that weight. Now you want to keep your technique the same as much as possible. But what your body will do is go, hey, fuck, I need to move this weight. I'm going to put myself and contort myself in the positions I need to be to get that weight up. Yeah. And then on the third rep, it's just pray to Jesus because fuck, man, I've seen some wild shit on a third rep. I'm talking knees kissing, head thrown back, all of it. But hey, there's no injuries. And, they got the lift and it's shit, whatever. If that's what you want to do, that's fine, because in that setting, not so that it's acceptable, but it makes more logical sense. But if you're doing a 6 to 8 rep set of squats for bodybuilding or the intention to build muscle, well, each rep from rep 1 to effectively rep 6 or 8 should look the same. And the only difference really should be the bar speed slows as the reps continue on, because we know that as fatigue catches up, you slow down.
Yeah. So that don't get me wrong, it was completely bar speed of this execution of this movement I saw was slow. Yeah. But at the same time, that was purely because it was a weight that shouldn't have been attempted in a rep range that was unnecessary. And then it's being claimed or shared as a brag. And you see people interacting with yeah, you go girl, you go dude, you're fucking killing it. No, you're killing yourself. You're not killing it. Yeah. You just to anyone with a degree that knows what you're doing, if a client sent me that, I would strip it back and be all right, we're not touching that weight again. We're going to do X, Y, Z and slow these things down. We're going to improve this. That's not what we're going to do. Yeah. Now, if you want to, at the end of a block, do a PB test period, cool. Generally, I would recommend 3 rep max. I've had some clients who want to just try and see what their 1 reps are. Now, that advice is the second it looks like it's going to risk injury or compromise posture or your form, just throw the weight. It's not worth it.
It's risk to reward, right? So it's if I have a client that's oh, can I test this lift? It's sure, but your risk of injury goes up. Yeah. So it's if you're happy to do that, because again, we're not parents. You're an adult. If you're my client, you're an adult. I'm going to treat you as such. At the end of the day, you pay me. So if it makes you happy to do a block where you want to lead into a 1 RM and it fits in the timeline and we can make it work, sure, let's do it. But be very well aware that the risk of injury goes up as weight gets heavier and intensity or effort gets higher. That's just normal. Yeah. That's logical. Is it worth it for you? Sure, then go for it. You don't want to do it, then don't do it.
And the thing to add to that too is that generally people that go through a testing period, if you're going to say go through a testing period, if it's randomly brought in and say your coaches set a program the way it is, chances are if you're at the end of a block, which might be your 12-week block, you've done your 3 mesos, maybe even 4, depending on how progressive you're getting with it, and you're deciding, hey, at the end of this block, I want to test. You have to also be aware you have some accumulate, especially if you're a degree of, a more intermediate athlete. I find my my beginner guys tend to have just a lot more energy, and that's pretty much in the research. They just got a lot more ability to recover and get back to continuing to gain. Yeah. But if you're like someone of an intermediate to an advanced athlete, and you got 12 weeks in there where you've executed like one RAR most of that block, throwing in a test period randomly risks like the degree of fatigue, neuromuscular fatigue, just frying your CNS, actual muscular fatigue. Like you're in a bad spot to try a PB. If you've been like in that sort of volume accumulation of like, the 8 to 12, 12 to 15s, 4 to 5 sets per working set, evenly balancing out your muscle groups and that sort of shit, you're accumulating some fatigue over 12 to 16 weeks and then going, I'm going to test what my PB is. Like, it's not really going to be a true PB because you've got that much accumulated volume and your body's probably cooked anyway.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be the right, as always, it's the right thing for the right person at the right time, right?
Yeah.
It's always the case. It's like, I'm never opposed to strength testing. So whether that be a 1,
no, not at all.
3, 4 rep, even 5 rep max, I'm not opposed to it. It's just, does it suit your goals? Yeah, does it fall in the timeline that we have? If we have especially if we have a goal. If one of my competitors, like my bodybuilders, is like, hey man, I want to do a 5 rep test, the 5 rep max. Cool. You're 12 weeks out from a show, dickhead. Like,
what the fuck for?
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, it's got to make sense. Like,
your risk to reward there in recovery is horrible. You got to tear a bicep trying to do a 1 rep max.
Yeah, it's like, we're 2 months into an 18-month off season. Yeah, man, fucking oath. Let's do it. Let's have some fun and let's see what goes on. Like, 100%. Like, let's do it.
Yeah, exactly. Get some food up there. You got a surplus of food,
like,
energy.
We're
sleeping great. You got drugs in. You're recovering.
Exactly. We're gonna mitigate the potential risks as much as possible, and we're going to control them as much as we can. Yeah. And if push comes to shove,
control in there and see what happens.
Fucking oath, man. Halo. Like, what are you talking about? Let's do this. Like, fucking go.
Do it. Let's peak it properly. Give you some Halo and some Master on, and just
and we're going to throw some fucking T and E on the day, and just fucking lift, bro. No, but yeah, it's always got to
punch holes in the wall on the way to the gym, though. But whatever.
Yeah, bad. Start headbutting the wall and shit. It's like fucking yes. But I'm a key and let's go lift. But yeah, anyway. Yeah, again, right place, right time.
Just make it fit. I don't know if mind you, I don't see any of the behind the scenes coaching. So I don't know if there's coaches encouraging these people to do it. I've seen several people now, particularly a chick that did it recently that I saw. And it was just like, she followed those exercises, right? And this is what we know that happens with exercise, like selection, order of selection, specificity, the stimulus to fatigue, all the stuff we talked about before. I watched her do, I followed the story. I was like, okay, whatever. It was maybe it was just a grind set she wanted to try out. And then I watched her do the rest of her leg workout, and all of it suffered because she was so tired. Yeah. So her following, this person was following Bulgarians after doing a 1 rep PB on squats. Didn't even get decent knee flexion or get to depth on that Bulgarian. So really was what was the point of that? Just do a normal lunge. Didn't even get a good, I want to say the potential of stimulus wasn't really there because she was so fatigued and her leg just looked cooked from building up to a 1 rep max. They were just sloppy reps. And then after that come a bunch of accessory exercises. It was kind of
Dude, when we talk about 1 rep maxes, and it's just funny, it reminds me, and I've a lot of the coaches I deal with, we all have the same opinion. And I'm sure you know, as soon as I say it, you know what I'm talking about. The Recomposer software the coaches use, it says what your predicted 1 RM is.
Oh yeah.
Honestly, I've used that software years ago, and it's great software. It's fucking amazing. You can, for the nutrition, it's awesome. For the training and training progressions, it's awesome. Basically, it tells you what reps you need to hit at what weight to progress. And then what it does is it'll calculate based on, an algorithm or an equation that what your predicted 1 RM is. And then what happens is, obviously, you can't control the person, but the person will then promote, my new 1 RM is this, and then it'll show a screenshot of new predicted 1 RM. It's it's not your fucking 1 RM because you didn't hit the fucking weight. Your 1 RM is the weight you hit. Not what's predicted based on a fucking equation. That's not how this works. It was a really big thing for a while, and we hate everyone.
It literally just reminds me of postmodern subjective reality. You think that you that that number doesn't exist. Like that number technically doesn't exist. You haven't done it. It's not an accomplished feat yet. Like I don't climb a mountain and then go, Mount Everest is my new projected PB of mountain climbing.
Yeah.
You either did it or you didn't.
Exactly.
You got to the top of a mountain. Like I don't get to climb the Glasshouse Mountains and then go, well, my new predicted PB in 3 years is they're going to climb the Glasshouse.
Yeah, it's like I'd like to see that predicted 1RM go up every time because it means you're progressing, further down the chain, which is great. But don't claim that's your 1RM. Like, no, you didn't hit that weight. You haven't. That's not your 1RM. Stop.
The variables you have to think about on testing day, or let's say it is your show day or comp day, whatever you want to refer to it as, and you haven't slept well, or you've been over anxious, or you haven't optimized yourself properly, you haven't had good recovery, your peak week might have gone wrong, and you're going to go, well, I could pull that back on my third lift because I'm ahead of my totals, but the number said this, so I'm going to do this as my 1 rep max, and then you end up fucking yourself. Yeah. Like the variables that change in reality to your subjective dreams means that you have to adjust accordingly as a normal person. You don't just get to go, well, yeah, like I do feel like a ball sack, but at the same time, this is what my predicted 1RM is, so I'm going to do it.
Yeah, it burns me. Like I like the Recomposer software. It's just that one little factor of predicted 1RM. It's like, I think I get why they put it in there because it's a great like motivator.
Yeah,
like, you know what I mean? Yeah, like, and you're like, sick. Like, you do 200 kilo deadlifts for 10 reps, and then it'll say your 1RM deadlift prediction based on the number you just hit for the reps that you just hit will be 300. It's like, no, like it's not 300. Like, I mean, predicted maybe, but no, it's not how it works. It's not. Don't claim that to be your PB, please. Don't be that person. And it's just funny. I did just get sent a photo of someone doing cardio with a weight belt on, so that's just made my day.
Oh, wow.
I've had a great day. I got up. I went to the city to try and buy a rash guard for jiu-jitsu. On the website, they say they've got stock. They didn't have stock in store, so that was a waste of time. I've gone to a golf private, and now I've just got sent a photo of someone doing cardio with a weight belt on. Mate, life is good.
I mean, that's new degrees of stupid. Don't get me wrong. I've used waist support belts because of spinal damage. Like I've used like pressure and compression belts because it was keeping my spine in fucking place when I had a bad spine. But wearing a fucking weight belt to do cardio.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Did he forget that it was on? Like, it could be a real thing sometimes.
The entire session, which you shouldn't have anyway.
Yeah, like you know one of those the Velcro belts. What's the brand that everyone used to wear? Harbinger. When I go real old school with Harbinger, guys, if she doesn't know what Harbinger is, she's too young for you, bro. Yeah, like the old school Velcro belt.
If she doesn't know what Muscle Tech is, she's too young for you, bro.
Yeah, bad.
If Triple H wasn't on the cover of the Muscle Tech protein, she's too young for you, bro.
Yeah, if she didn't get her workouts from a bodybuildingforum.com, she's too young for you, bro. But yeah, so that's interesting. It's been a great day. That's all I gotta say. That's why I'm trying to read the message. I'm just like, oh yeah, cool. Like he is literally wearing. Oh wait, what's the brand? Vantage. I can see the brand.
It's the Nutrition Warehouse one. Well, Vantage Strength is Australian, but Nutrition Warehouse.
Is Vantage like the new school Harbinger?
Yeah, very much so.
Cool. So that's all right. It's
still a Sting, like very much.
Oh, Sting. Yeah, fuck. Those were the days. And then they moved to like boxing gloves and wraps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They used to be like gloves, wrist straps, thumb loops, double loops, belts. And then they moved to like boxing or something, I think now. Yeah.
Great time. They actually have I'm pretty sure I've seen a shop of just Sting. It's like boxing gloves, boxing wraps, maybe some t-shirts and singlets. Like talk about turning a brand upside down. Like that's mate, good job.
It's like right before I ended NW, the Musashi had a massive rebrand. They went through a lull there. Like they made the rookie mistake. And if anyone ever decides to do a supplement company, I don't know what listeners do that. But
if you can't even do it anymore. Good luck.
Rule one is don't go into grocery stores. That's where you go to die. Every brand that I've ever worked with that's ever got into a grocery store has either lost margins, lost profit, or just sunk.
Yeah, because they would have had to have changed their formulas to
appeal,
yeah.
Branding,
yeah, that's fair.
And then because no one is in there to sell them, they just think being on the shelf means that they're going to be bought. But there's no one in there specialized to sell them, and so you just get people walking down the health food aisle and being like, "Oh, cool! This bland, plain protein package is whey protein. I don't know what that is." that must be steroids. Sorry. Nope. So yeah, don't do that. That was a good laugh. Then Musashi, they did a rebirth recently, and they just spent like a ridiculous amount of money to relift the whole brand, and it still hasn't done anything. I think it's with like the Gold Coast Titans or some shit, and that's it.
Yeah. I mean, who else did it? There was another one. It wasn't just Musashi. There was yeah, as I say, it was a BSC.
Yeah, I think
they were the first ones before Musashi that tried to move into like they changed their formula. So no, or did they come out already with the formulas that were ASADA approved?
Yeah,
whatever it is. Like
yeah.
they were one of the first ones to come out and say, look, our stuff is already approved by ASADA. You don't have to worry about it. Take it. Was it BSC? Yeah, but then they fucked up.
No, they're fine. There was a reason why they were one of the first ones to come out and make those claims. Just saying.
Yeah, well, yeah. Anyway, I just remember. Yeah, I just remember them coming out, and I'm like, who are these guys? Because the appeal was you didn't have to worry about checking the ingredients because they were already approved. But anyway,
I'm pretty sure because there was a sting. It wasn't a sting. There was a rile up when an athlete claimed that her protein was so high in amino acids it technically counted as peptides, and so she failed her drug testing or something. And like all of us in the industry were just like, this is fucking stupid. Like that's not how, like someone isn't just spiking your protein with anabolics to just give you one random tab you managed to get as an elite athlete that you've now failed your blood test. Because then they came in with like regulations of like cracking down on protein and how much more legitimate it had to be. And it was like, hang on, no one is adding anabolic steroids to your protein. There's no financial return to that.
Yeah.
Like, no one gains a thing from that at all. So when it was coming out, we were all just like fair enough. The stupid of the general population was like, oh, protein, whey protein, that must be steroids. Like, cool, if that's what you think. But then people took that legitimately and was like, oh, this athlete who's trying to be the best in the world and win at her sport and needs to recover and train optimally failed her blood test. It must have been because of her protein and creatine. And we're like,
that's what it was.
That was definitely what it was. Yeah.
Yeah, people are stupid.
And Lance Armstrong lost all his Tour de France because of protein.
Man, for whatever anyone wants to say, that dude won how many with one testicle? Like, give him a fucking medal.
Also, just saying, I am not a fan of hindsight ramifications. If you change a policy in the future, doesn't mean you get to go back and take it off someone's behalf. I don't think so.
Yeah, no, that's how it works.
He wasn't doping. He was blood doping.
Yeah, well.
Limitation or restriction on it.
Yeah, at the same time, they all were. He just did it better.
Yes, exactly.
Like
wasn't it like when they pulled him and they pulled everyone's bloods and pulled everyone and started testing their way down. The person that won was 14th because everyone else had failed.
Everyone had been done it. Yeah, everyone had been doing it. Like, get over it. He just did it better than everybody. You just have to accept that he was more advanced in every aspect.
Watching the documentary and how he actually did the cryo freezing of his blood oxygen to get it back into his body later on. Fucking genius.
Yeah.
That was brilliant.
Should we move to questions?
Yeah, let's move to questions.
That was a fun rant.
Yeah.
Okay.
Conclusion is, I guess, don't be an idiot and do a fucking shitty 1 rep max for no reason and hurt yourself.
And don't buy BSC. Not kidding. We're kidding. Buy it. Sponsor us. Who will have a greater career and impact on the sport, Arnie or C-Bum? And for those that are wondering, it means Chris Bumstead, not Chris Black. We had to throw some sort of
Chris
at him. Fuck Chris.
We hope he loses now. He's not here. He's going to get dead last of the show. No, I'm kidding. See, I think C-Bum's had a real spike in the TikTok fanboy era.
Social media era, we'll call it.
Yeah, but even that cringy TikTok-y era that's come out where dude with the cross earring and shit, and they've got the little fucking flaky hair. Like there's a whole trend of them, and they're all claiming to be the next C-Bum, and you see it in their bios now, like someone genuinely consistent with bodybuilding probably doesn't have soon-to-be bodybuilder in their bio on Instagram. Yeah, but
that's fair.
He has pushed that envelope to, I guess, attraction to the general population, which is needed every once in a while. But it's not even fair game. You got to go back to what Arnie actually did and how he brought it to the mainstream. It's the same way when I look at the comparisons of Jordan to LeBron, is that it's not just the tangibles of C-Bum has a much drier physique now and bigger muscle bellies and everything's fuller and has greater completion, all that stuff, taper, cool. But Arnie brought basically a no-name industry and competition into the mainstream and limelight through what he did, and then managed to exploit it even further, which then projected his career even further.
Yeah, so I guess it's hard to go against a pioneer, right? Like an original. Like it's hard to compare an original to, a new person. But to play devil's advocate, as it were, Arnold didn't make bodybuilding popular through bodybuilding. He made bodybuilding popular through being an actor and then having the look of a bodybuilder that he could tie back.
I disagree.
If you look at when bodybuilding probably shot up in Arnie's era, it was probably closer to his back end when he started to act. And the only reason why he wanted to start acting, but he had to obviously look like a bodybuilder. So it was kind of like, okay, that dude's huge. What the fuck? It's like, oh, there's shows for these huge ass guys. Yes. Then it became a bit more popular, right?
To a degree, yeah. But then there's also when you go through what his, because
you got to remember also when we looked, but that was only appealing to bodybuilders.
No, I agree with that. It's not so much pumping iron that I'm saying made famous. It's what he did when you look at it. It's kind of like someone who's trying to make a new product cool, like a new supplement cool, something like that. He took it to he walked around the streets of New York in the freezing cold in a bunch of posing trunks.
Yeah.
Did the art gallery thing where they're on the art podium. So
I agree.
Those exposures, it's like, to me, that's the groundwork that he did to make it popular. Yes. And his acting definitely brought attention to it, but that got the reporters and the articles on like, what the fuck is this gigantic dude?
That's what generated the interest. Yes. Yeah. I agree with that. But at the same time, it's like, has Bumstead taken it to a new level? And the only reason why he's able to take it to a new level is because we have social media, right?
Yeah.
Take away social media, is Bumstead as popular as Arnie? Maybe not. We don't know. But we live in the day and age with social media. So would Bumstead be more popular with the fans and drag now more people to the sport than Arnie? It's hard to say because they're two different eras. Like, you know what I mean?
It's like, but it's
he has access to more people effectively.
I compare it to, and this is across any sport, I think, is similar to, we have what's called the generational shifts in technological advancement. So every time there's a specific terminology for life-altering technologies that come about and end up changing the course of civilization: internet, power, phones, international travel and communication, fucking computing. Like all these things at certain points, you can watch the timeline shift as well. Like technological advancement, then this happens and shoots up, then it shoots up. Like those things happen. Arnie was one of the pioneering shifts in that change and transformation of bodybuilding. And so that allowed and fostered the ability for people like Bumstead to exist and become more mainstream and accessible and reachable through social media. So it's not so much who would have the greater impact, it's that the impact would be possible if someone like Arnie didn't exist.
Agreed. But then at the end of the day, when they both die, whose name will be remembered more?
I still think Arnie.
Yeah, see, I don't know. I only think because of the social media side of things. And like you said, the technological advancements allow, I think, Bumstead he will be remembered more just because Arnie became in an era that didn't have that. So he didn't have access to that many people.
I think Arnie will be remembered a lot more due to the back end of his exposure to social media through governing and through politics.
Yeah, probably.
I think that'll have an impact. Like you look up Arnie now and it's about his comments about freedom, which also got taken way out of context.
Yeah.
But that whole situation, like those sort of articles are going to be more reflective of Arnie than 7-time Mr. Olympia, Arnold Schwarzenegger. That's not going to be his premise anymore. Yeah. Whereas I think like Bumstead...
Well, we won't know for another 20 years with Bumstead anyway, right? When we Google Bumstead in 20 years' time, let's see what comes up.
Yeah. I think you're right. Like that to that degree of exposure that he's going to have more, I guess, reach at the time than what Arnie did. But that same conversation, like I'll give that to LeBron for now. Like social media wasn't present during Michael's rise to dominance, and so that argument of LeBron was the most criticized athlete of all time and everyone doubts him. It's like, yeah, but like you're claiming to be the greatest during a generational period where everyone has access to you.
Man, everyone wears Jordans, not LeBrons. Get the fuck over it. Jordan.
Yeah.
It's a moot point.
Yeah. Tavi, what shoes do you have?
Yeah, pretty much. It's like, I don't see you wearing LeBron clothing, but I see you wearing a Jordan hoodie. Nah, EAAs for naturals, dieting, showing muscle retention. I got a feeling that word showing is not meant to be there. EAAs for naturals, dieting.
Is it saying like, does the study show muscle retention?
Maybe, but the word study's not in there as well.
I'm going to take it on the assumption like, does EAA dieting help with muscle retention?
Well, yeah, it's a protein. So, yeah. Take
it. Will.
Yeah, take it. Well, I mean, okay, I guess if we want to look at this, as a natural, if you're dieting down, you're going to be on probably a ton less food than majority of those that are enhanced. So you will have less of the good stuff. So you'll probably have less of your micronutrients. You'll have less of your macronutrients.
Mm-hmm.
So you probably but it'd probably be a wise idea to have EAAs if it fits into the.
This is the argument that I get into, and like you see like big overly outspoken Instagrammers are like, supplements are a piece of shit. Like, you have to apply the nuance and use the right tool for the right job. Now, yes, we would preferably like to have you at a higher dose of protein and the stimulation is going to help with prevention of muscle breakdown during cutting. But if you're a natty, chances are you have to expect some. That's just a given. Offsetting that by making sure you have adequate essential amino acids is not a bad. It's not. Yeah. It's not promoting to say that these are the bee's knees. It's going to be the reason why you're still alive.
Yeah.
But if you're trying to reduce as much muscle wastage as possible, then something like EAAs during a period where you're not getting enough protein, it's probably going to be helpful.
Well, there's going to be no negative effects anyway. So it's like, if you take them, you're going to get potentially get positive effects or no effects. There's no side effects.
Yeah. You're literally just getting.
I feel like it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Will there be a way to watch any of Chris's comps coming up? I will more than likely be there. I'm fairly sure I'll be there. So I will try and record as much as I can and post on the Instagram stories to see what's happening.
Well, now that I've got a digital camera, I will try and get down, depending on flights and costs and stuff with uni.
Yeah.
I'll try and get down and try and record a fair bunch of it if I can. Even if it's the weekend again, something like that. No promises, but if we can, yeah. Otherwise, I think the IFBB for the national show does live.
Yeah, they'll do it for the national, not for the state shows.
Yeah. You're most likely to be able to find a fangirl or a friend or someone doing live streaming or live footage.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I imagine the page as well, IFBB Australia, or is it, or something like that on Instagram? They usually put posts up.
IFBB Pro League Oz.
During the day, on the days of the comps, they'll take photos and put photos up on their story. So you might catch a couple of him, but I'm pretty sure I'm backstage with him, so I'll try and get some shit. I mean, we'll see how he's feeling.
He's just too annoyed and doesn't care.
Yeah, that's all right. I'll just tickle his bumhole. He'll be fine. Question for you, thick boys. Well, actually, bros. Boys, bros. Same. I can't even read. Are you lucky? Does luck exist? I feel like this is a very deep and philosophical question.
I'm going to okay. Let's take this
to be or not to be.
What is the meaning of life?
Yeah, pretty much.
Is there a God?
Yeah, what is death?
Okay, so if we're going to play on the, I guess, proverbial woke card that comes with being the left and the liberal in Australia, luck meaning any of us are born in a Western democratic country that potentially have a job with a safe economic position. Sure. Now, if we're going to, that's the bare minimum though. If you're going to say that's luck, then fine. That's the bare minimum scraping by. And that's going to be like, if that's your definition of luck, cool. You can't feel good or bad about that because literally you had no control. There was a fucking 1,000 different degrees of separation from you and your families who all decided to have sex and reproduce and get you to here. So cool. You have no control over that. But luck in the sense of where we are and what we do, no, I don't think we're lucky because, and not even as a humble brag or as anything, I've put a lot on the table and risked a lot on the table to be in a position I'm in to try and get further and try and reach what I'm trying to do. That requires and I've gone through this. I had to have chats with Dalton about this recently because I was becoming so fixated on making sure I'm provided enough value, making sure I'm providing the right like context. And I was losing sleep because it'd be like 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm spacing out someone's program in my head. And that's not as in like a negative thing or like I hate my job. It was like, I was so fixated on making sure that someone has the best possible program based on my knowledge I could give them. And like, where else could I not stuff it up, or could I do better? How much could I want them to succeed. So no, I don't think it's luck. I think it's a combination of, yes, like that old homage, which is like, luck is just opportunity meeting preparation. And so I got myself to a position where I could take this risk. I financially set myself up through lots and lots of work. I didn't go out for 3 years. I worked every weekend for 3 years. I studied during the week. I set programs and like missed family events and missed fucking social birthdays. Like I don't care. So to that degree, no, I'm not lucky. I've worked for it. Same would be with you. Now, luck that I was born in Australia as a white man to a somewhat two-parent family, sure, lucky. I'll give you that. I'll play that proverbial fucking woke card and I hate it. But sure, lucky. Everything else beyond that, no.
Yeah, fair. I think luck is an interesting one. I think it's one of those concepts. If you believe in luck, then you would deem lucky. And then if you don't really believe in luck, then I guess you won't, right? The way I look at it, I won't speak for my younger years. I'd speak probably more recently, probably more so as the business has grown, as we've done this podcast and all that sort of stuff. I think it's more educated guessing and getting really good at guessing well, really trying to limit those negatives, trying to limit those potential issues and trying to funnel it down into the most positive outcome possible. And it's just like, if the risk is too high or too great, then it's not worth doing, right? And it's just really risk assessment and risk elimination.
Calculating.
Yeah, I think that's probably a better way. Do I believe that I've had an element of luck? Probably, because there are things outside my control that have then turned and worked to my benefit. Yes.
At the same time, in saying that, you also have to be prepared to take advantage of those opportunities.
100%. And that's what it is. As that, I would probably deem it a little bit lucky in that aspect, only because I would classify luck as something that I haven't been able to control that's turned into my favor. Yeah. I think that's probably the best way to look at it. Again, whether that would have happened, based on all the risk assessments and calculations we've done beforehand, who knows? And we won't know. And that's the beauty of it.
The thing I find though is with luck, and it's using that degree of like things outside of my control, you start to get more lucky the harder you work and more successful you become. Yeah. Because you start being open to more opportunities, and more opportunities present more relative favors or chances for you to take another risk. Yes. And every time I find that you expose yourself to a new risk, you're willing to take another one. Mm-hmm. So where I may not have wanted to be in the conversation with like 7-figure business owners and stuff like that, I'm now trying to pay those people so that I can be in those conversations. Yes. I'm trying to be a part of those talks and be in those environments, because like hanging around with people who are getting drunk every weekend for the same place at the same time every weekend isn't going to be the same conversation as people who are making 7-figure businesses. Yes. And I would like my definition of success is obviously reaching a much bigger global level audience one day that has a lasting impact that makes change on how people see what they can do. Yes. Now that conversation is going to happen in someone's backyard getting pissed. So me working for the last 5 years for like, despite the fact I didn't necessarily align with the company, to be in a position where I make sure I was financially set that I could then be a part of these conversations, take the risk of quitting, step up to that next level, have those conversations. All of those lucks manifested, as much as I hate using that fucking word, from the fact that I worked to be in those positions for that luck to arise. Yeah. Now, would that same luck have happened to me if I was in old mate's backyard still getting pissed, ripping a line every Saturday night? Probably not. Like it's probably not going to be, that's like there's degrees of separation of what you might define as luck. So like to wrap that up, I guess, is that I find the harder you work and the more you're willing to take the risks, the more the luck is willing to come to you because you're putting yourself in a position to get it.
Yeah. And I think really when it comes to luck, if your chakras aren't aligned, it's not going to work out for you anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. If your chakras aren't aligned, like forget it. Ben's getting all hippie woo woo, so I'm going to put some hippie woo woo on it.
You got to vibe the right frequency.
You got to make sure that one of the moons is in retrograde. Yeah, one of the many moons that we have in our solar systems in retrograde.
Just one. Not all of them, just one.
Pick one. Make sure it's in retrograde. Yeah, I think luck is a funny one. I feel like it's a concept that, you could almost do an entire podcast on because it goes much deeper than.
It's going to come back to how
are you feeling lucky, punk?
Yeah. It'll just come back to how you define the criteria of luck. Like, if it's that roll under the dice and you manage to get 6 and the number you need was 6, cool. But if it's luck from where you are in a business perspective or life, I mean, every single time, like the way you look at it, every single time you make a decision, branches of future decisions arise from that choice that you can then get to make choices from. So each decision either has to be corrected for or continues to be encouraged and makes further decisions. Yeah. Like a very drastic example, a drug addict doesn't really just start on crack or meth.
Well, that we know of.
that we know. Thinking like generality sense.
Some people like to walk before they crawl, Ben.
Not a sprint before they crawl.
Fucking, we're here for a good time, not a long time.
Suddenly Usain Bolt, I've never walked before.
You woke up and it's Christmas. What happened? Is there any research papers or studies on the effects of yelling lightweight baby preset?
All of them.
You know what? I wouldn't actually be surprised if there was some study on some sort of positive reinforcement or positive effect trying to boost up adrenaline pre-exercise. I haven't looked for it or looked at it, but I'm sure there is.
All you would look for is optimal arousal and internal conversation, internal monologue and self-arousal.
You'd look at arousal, I reckon. Yeah. It'd be just arousal and what branches off arousal.
Positive framework that you just like yelling at yourself in a constructive way. It would actually be a thing.
Yeah, I don't agree. I don't disagree. Sorry. I imagine there would be a ton of papers on arousal, and then they just obviously have different protocols for obviously the study, whether it be preset, pre-workout, whatever it is. Yeah. Would you rather battle the world's biggest spider or world's biggest snake with only a stick? I mean, it depends how big the stick is.
Yeah, I mean, if it's a
really big snake, it's going to eat me.
Yeah, I just want to do one of those like cartoon, like movie scenes where you put the stick on its mouth and like it flies down. I've seen enough movies, I can do that. Yeah,
well, I mean, it's like I've seen Lord of the Rings. A stick, sword, close enough. I can get that spider. I got this. I'm just going to stay there, get under it, and go. And fuck, if I die, I die. But with the snake, like that's coming at you. Yeah, like that shit's big. That's scary.
I mean, look, if a 14-year-old Jenny Weasley can fight off a fucking basilisk in the Chamber of Secrets, I'm sure I can find.
Well, I mean, you have to have red hair. That's the criteria.
It's not worth it.
Yeah, that's the criteria. The basilisk, like, he hasn't got red hair. He's fucked.
See ya.
Best exercises to correct posture for desk workers. Now, isn't it? This question. So, corrective exercises for posture, if you ever look at them, all have the same thing in common. They don't involve you sitting down. So really, stop sitting down for such long periods of time. You'll probably find that your posture corrects itself a fair amount to the point where then it'll then show what smaller niggles you have or smaller things that you need to work on instead of, a total overhaul of exercises for posture. Your body's not designed to sit for periods of time. Actually, I'm pretty sure from memory, your body physiologically is not designed to sit at all, just the way your skeleton's aligned. So doing something that's unnatural for you for a period of time, obviously not ideal. That's why they say get up every, 20 minutes, half an hour. Give yourself 90 seconds.
Ratio of sitting, standing.
Yeah, so it's like, that's why they invented the stand-up desks. Funny story. There is a study. I'm pretty sure I've got it on my laptop. Stand-up desks, if you stand, you burn more calories.
Yeah.
You actually genuinely burn more energy standing at your desk for a period of time than you do obviously sitting. So handy when you're in a deficit. Yeah. If you want to get yeah. And then if you want to make it even worse, throw a weighted vest on and you're fucking right, mate. Because there is also studies to show weighted vests increase metabolic output.
Set the weighted vest back to the weight you started the deficit at.
Yeah.
And that makes it even worse.
Yeah.
You lost 15 kilos for this comp rep? Cool. Put 15 kilos back on your vest and carry it.
Yeah, like literally. It works. It's been shown.
But one of the things I do find with some people, especially getting retraction, is that it's not like corrective exercises, is that they don't know how to actually retract properly. And so like it may be, especially if you're getting, I don't know, let's say you're a particular bro trainer and you've got a heavy anterior dominance training vibe where you train where you can see like chest, shoulders, arms, and you rarely train back and you must sit at a desk. It's not so much that you have desk shoulders, it's that you simply aren't training the retraction properly and strengthening the muscles that should be holding you in a good position.
Yeah, well,
so
go on.
I was going to say, in that regard, like I find getting people to actually feel and understand what scapular retraction looks like and feels like changes everything.
Yeah. So when you look at occupational therapy, not that that's my field, but I have sort of dabbled in it a little bit way back. When you look at someone's desk, for example, and how they set the desk up, where your position is in terms of where your keyboard is, where your mouse is, how high you're sitting up versus how like high over the desk and keyboard you are, all play a part. Then you have like your lumbar support with your back and all that sort of stuff. So, and then how high the monitor is or your laptop is from, your eye level, like all these little things, like if you really want to get picky, or you could literally just stand up. Like not worry about any of that, just stand up. Make sure that your desk is low enough so you're not shrugging and you're all good. If you're working in, a decompressed state effectively, where basically your shoulder blades are down towards your butt cheeks and not up and shrugging, you're in a much better state to basically start correcting your posture. And then from there, if you need to do corrective exercises, I would just obviously suggest seeing somebody in person. Would be much more beneficial for you. So the last question I have here is a really loaded question. For all the misinformation out there, can AMPK and mTOR work simultaneously? Look, this is tricky because both work in protein synthesis effectively. So it's like when we look at what things are and what they do, and it's like they both work in the cell. AMPK effectively stimulates energy generating processes, whereas mTOR uses those processes. The only problem is AMPK inhibits mTOR. So it's like when one's functioning, the other isn't, because they're both using and generating energy. So they only ever really need one of them to be working at any one time. And that's a really, really oversimplification of it. Like it's so fucking complex. So for argument's sake, can they work simultaneously? No. Some parts of the body they can and will. Most of the time when it comes to muscles and muscle physiology, not really, no. Again, it's a huge simplification and I could do an entire podcast on AMPK and mTOR, which I'm not going to do because we're going to be here all day and it gets really sciencey and really nerdy and I really can't be bothered. So just for this argument, that's what we're going to say. Again, gets tricky after that. And that's it for the questions.
I did enjoy diving into AMPK and
man, it's so tricky, especially when you try to explain what AMPK and mTOR actually are, and then when you explain that they act differently in muscle cells versus like organ cells, like it changes. So it's kind of like they don't. Most of the time when we talk about AMPK and mTOR, we talk about protein synthesis and how they act in protein synthesis, which is more so to do with muscle building. But how they act in muscle building and how they act in everything else is quite different. Like mTOR is really, really stimulating when it comes to tumor growth, for example. So it's like, that's why I think everyone deems it bad, but it's like, it's not necessarily bad. It's only bad if you have tumors. So it's kind of like, it's tricky. It's a very, very tricky slope to deal with. So, I mean, for argument's sake, one inhibits the other. So no, that means by definition, they cannot work simultaneously. I think it's going to be the easiest way to put that with the least amount of science in it.
I guess, like, again, maybe a very simplified way of trying to visualize it, but you can kind of look at it as like similar to the stress style. The parasympathetic system is not going to be working if your sympathetic system is working.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, that's one way to, it's probably an easy way to visualize it. Yeah. It's a concept, conceptualize it, I guess, is one way. I mean, yeah, they have some overlap. They do work simultaneously. In my head would be like they work literally side by side.
Yeah.
They don't most of the time. They might have some overlap, but that's about it.
That would be how I would, when I hear the word simultaneously, that's what I would.
Yeah, that's what comes to mind, right?
Yeah.
So we do have this new game, but I mean, we can start with some of these questions if you'd like. Bad People, new game. See if we like it.
Oh, yes. Yep. Go on.
Do a couple of questions before we go.
Yep.
Most likely to not get the joke. Chris.
Chris was in prep mode.
Yeah, 100%.
Our chat just goes silent sometimes.
Yeah, we're just looking at each other like,
funny, but I don't know.
Yeah, like, does he get what we're saying?
Yeah. It's just one of those moments where it's like, for fuck's sake, boys, it's 10 o'clock at night, shut up.
Most likely to cheat while playing a board game.
Well, I mean,
yeah.
I do want to win badly, but also I'm probably winning, so it's fine.
I was going to say, I feel like none of us would cheat in a board game.
No, just be like, I want to win, so I'm going to win.
Yeah, I feel like, I don't see us any of us cheating in a board game, but anyway. Who has the largest porn collection? Ben, that's easy.
Who has porn collections anymore? It's 1995.
But you still have it, don't lie.
Yeah, like trading cards.
Most likely to crack a beer during a eulogy. During a eulogy. I reckon that'd be either of us.
Yeah.
Depends on the funeral.
Yeah.
If it's someone close, like, that's a bit disrespectful. If it's someone that we don't know and we're sitting in the back row, probably both of us.
I expect someone to rip a line in my funeral when I'm giving a eulogy. I just want to hear and Ben really committed to his shirt, and you hear.
Yeah, you put it as part of the criteria. Like, you can only attend this funeral if.
I'm going to spend some of my fortune to make sure there is a cube of cocaine at my wedding.
Yeah.
At my funeral, sorry, at my wedding.
I mean, same.
And to attend, you have to rip a line. Just put it really on like that next level. I never believe the funeral should be so negative. Like, I want you to party that I was alive, not I'm dead.
Most likely to laugh if they saw a blind person trip. All of us. It's literally like, I literally got a Facebook memory today, and one of my mates posted it. This would have been in, I'll tell you what year. This post on my Facebook, 2nd of March 2014. One of my mates posted this on my wall. Why can't Stevie Wonder see his friends?
Why?
Because he's married.
Have I talked about
literally? Sorry?
Have I talked about on this podcast about the Stevie Wonder Instagram?
No.
Oh, it was like, it must have been like 4 years ago or something. It was on the radio, and I was like, this can't be real. Someone made a Stevie Wonder Instagram, and every photo is black, and it's posted from his perspective. And it's like, I'm so glad to spend time with my family and see my family for Christmas. And it's just a black photo. Nothing in it because he's blind. I cried. I literally had to stop the car and like pull over and cry laughing because it was just that funny. And I'm pretty sure at one point he heard about it and laughed.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, there's another one, like, again, same person, 2010, 2nd of March. And the actual post was, mate, we got some new ones on our hands. Get ready for this. These are Confucius say. Confucius say, good to meet girl in park, but better to park meeting girl. Get it? Park your meet in a get. You get it? You with me? Yes.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. I feel like you have to read it to get it. Man who walked through airport turnstile sideways going to Bangkok. Again, 2010. This is 12 years ago, yeah? Confucius said, virginity like bubble, one prick or gone. I mean, that's fair. Confucius is a wise man.
Good luck.
Anyway,
Good
these
luck.
are my Facebook memories that come up. These are the friends that I deal with. Most likely to say, I'm not racist, but.
Not racist, but.
Ben.
I hate Italians.
Yeah.
Not even the good kind of fascist. You're like half-heartedly doing it.
See, this is a dumb question. Most likely to fart and blame it on someone else. Like, we're all claiming it. Let's be real.
Yeah.
Most likely to shout the wrong name during sex.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, right. Don't have to say anything. It's pretty much standard. So we need Chris on for some of these. Who was the worst person to call for relationship advice?
Me.
Yeah.
No. I resent that. Yeah. I'll give you real advice. Just don't expect to be soft-cocked and fucking half-hearted.
It's like do as I say, not as I do.
No, it's more like you know those ones where people just want they say something just wanting you to say back like, no, that's fine. It was a good.
You're not going to do that. Nah.
Yeah, probably not going to do that.
No, you're going to get the real truth.
Yeah.
But let's leave those questions there for now, because much more fun with, I think, 3 people, because it's just easier to blame everything on Ben. Even though that's what we do anyway. Like, I just picked up a card, most likely to draw a dick on a passed out friend. Like, that's Ben. Like, yeah. Like, this shouldn't be called bad people. This should just be called Ben's game.
Yeah. A really old friend of mine, she put a fucking photo up one time. She picked me up from like must have been a night out when I was younger, and she picked me up and she wasn't drinking that night. And on the drive home, I drew a dick and balls like dictation on her windscreen. It was fogging up. It was like cold. So I was like, while she's driving, I just drew a dick and balls. And then it was like 8 years later or something like that, or like years later, the car must have fogged up again, and she put a photo up and my dick and ball fingerprints was still on the windscreen. I was like, firstly, why haven't you cleaned your car? And secondly, that's fucking hilarious.
Well, yeah, right. Like, yeah. Anyway,
I get to draw dick and balls. I'm going to draw dick and balls.
Hard, and I mean, you're going to draw them like big, veiny, like
Yeah, you got to make sure there's plenty of like robbing to it and like pubic hairs hanging off a little bit. Yeah, you got to make
it's got to be detailed as fuck.
Like Superbad.
Yeah, Superbad. That's the movie I was thinking of. I was drawing big veiny motherfuckers. Anyway, let's leave it there. I reckon. Any updates that we need to know about?
Client intake still going. It's going really well. So yeah, definitely jump aboard in Quiet if you are keen. That is still going ahead. No, I just finished off, tidied up some more of the Loom content for my clients. So I've got basically a small fucking short course there of information for them. And finally got the digital camera and that set up as you saw before. Got like the light stand and shit going on. So I will start recording of week 1's content this week. I'll do it tonight. I'll start getting that done. So it's a good thing is I've just finished helping another business with their nutritional content, helping them with some behavior change and goal setting, like science stuff. So I've got some of the content already written out for like the other weeks already, just by having that done. So that's cool. That's that done. And then I'm presenting for one of the workshops with Benny Scott and STC. I think he said about 4 weeks. So
yeah, nice.
I'm gonna start getting that presentation together, just on the psychological benefit of having purpose in your business. So what that actually means, like, you know, like the way I explained it was kind of the difference in cold calling a client or a potential client when you're just doing it because you know you've got to call a certain amount of numbers to get the chance of sales
versus
just ringing up and saying like, you know, you're 65 and you can barely move. My literal passion in life is to help people move.
Fix your shit.
But I want to give you a longevity of life. That's what I'm here to do. That difference in not only sell, but like it just makes you enjoy life more because you got like that's your job.
Yep.
Why resent or not want to understand what you're doing every day of the year for the rest of your life?
Yeah, for sure. That'd be good. It'd be fun.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
Yeah, nice.
What about you?
Like I said last week's episode, the thing that's potentially in the works has progressed. We're just getting the final touches, and then I'll definitely announce it. Probably maybe on the next podcast, I should have the final details. So could be some very big news, but we'll see.
So he's just got the black couch in his room. He's got the camera set up.
I've just got to get the lighting right. We're just figuring out the lighting. So we've got some tests happening. You know, people coming through. No. So we'll see.
Modeling gigs.
Yes, yeah, you're here to be an actress.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So have you worked with male talent? No. We'll hopefully have some more details for the next episode, and I'll be able to announce that then. Hopefully.
Very exciting.
Yeah.
How is our boy Chrissy feeling anyway? I haven't spoken to him.
Yeah, I messaged him the other day. Yeah, the group chat's gone very quiet. He's definitely struggling. No, he's not too bad. I messaged him the other day, checking in, say, if he's alive and stuff, he's all good. He's just now in that workhorse mode. So goes to the gym and headphones on. Like he's at a point where not even wanting to train with people now. So it's kind of like, it's just to me like, oh yeah, my process, man, I just put my headphones on and train. I'm like, bro, go nuts. I'm that fucking busy, so it's fine.
Yeah.
Let's just get you where you need to be. And if you need me, let me know, and that'll be it. See how you go.
Yeah. Yeah. Fair.
So it's just the back end of the work now.
One interesting thing actually I was gonna say, finished up with a chat with Dolts today. So we're gonna move into me taking over my programming.
Yeah, nice.
So we're gonna move into a line with just really want to give it a crack at myself.
Yeah, why not?
We're just gonna move into like monthly consults, like monthly check-ins with him. So he's still gonna have oversight over everything, but I just feel at where we are and what I want to do and what I want to play around with and where my volume markers are, just gives me experience of putting myself in that position and like taking control of it. So I don't run anything by him. Like it's still literally going to be the same process. We've had most of the like dialectic conversation anyway. It'll just be me kind of like keen to take the reins a bit. And then I think we're going to move into really start to nail in a pre-prep phase. So I really want to start off in a much better position. So, dependence of drug use and stuff doesn't have to be as high and everything's in a better position to take over and start. So we'll get into a nice tighten up phase now where I've kind of just been, lack of a better word, like intuitively eating as much as I hate it. I've been eating the same food to the same weights, knowing that like what it is. And if I vary or something like that, it's because I've substituted something out or just miss food. Okay. So now it's just a matter of tightening all that up and just making sure that the food is the food, calories are tracked, weights are in, steps are in, like all the stuff I've been doing, just kind of a lot more regimented with it than sort of like the off period lets you be.
Yep.
So just kind of amping it up to get to that point that when prep starts, it's not like holy shit, he was my life before, now he's prep. It's like, let's escalate.
Yeah, I get you. Nice. That'll be interesting. Well, I'm sure you'll have a lot of questions for programming.
Yes.
All right. As always, guys and girls, thank you for tuning in. And if you do have any questions, topics you want us to talk about, DM Ben, because I probably won't reply. No, I'm kidding. You can actually DM the Bros with Brains page on Instagram if you're not following that already. Bros_with_brains. And as always on YouTube and the Elite Strength channel, just subscribe, like, comment, share, love. Don't put the thumbs down. I'll kill you. Yes, send those two.
Should we start like what's the word? Like before we wrap up, should we start doing some more content on the Instagram? Like I know we're doing posts. And
I will. I'll start trying to get into that and figure it out.
I was going to say like share it around, and I'll we can start doing some more like talking stories and stuff like that. Just like dive into something we talked about on the podcast or something. Yeah, we should really do that. Yeah, I'll see if I can remember the password. James, what did you make it? No, I changed it from him because I felt bad, and then I changed it to one of my passwords. Now we're gonna find out. But anyway, I'm sure. I think I can work it out. Anyway, we'll find out. Cocks and dicks 1. Cocks and dicks 2. Ben has a little wee wee 1. Exclamation mark. Well, yeah, I'll work it out and I'll send it to you. We'll go from there. All right, guys and girls, thank you as always for tuning in, and we will speak to you next week.